for a lot of people, World War II started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. But for the Chinese, so World War II really started in 1931 when Japan took over Manchúria, occupied Manchúria, and they attacked Shanghai. And then for China, it's really a war. It's not it's like from 1931 to 1945. That's a good 14 years state of war.
State of war, yes.
And then after the Japanese surrender, there was still, you still have the communists and the KMT, and then you have the Chinese Civil War for another 3 years, for another 4 years until 1949, until the KMT was finally defeated. Yeah, 1949, when KMT was finally defeated and Chiang Kai-shek fled to Taiwan. And so China just had this really bad luck in the in the late 19th century and early 20th century. This is why the period between 1840 to 1949, this period of more than 100 years, is termed the century of humiliation, because in this century, China was continually losing wars to foreign powers, civil war, Japanese invasion, famine, opium addiction, and it just very terrible century for the Chinese. But this is the reason why people outside China don't understand why a lot of people in China still look up to Mao, because what Mao did is he picked up all the pieces together and put the Chinese state, put the Chinese nation whole again. And like Mao made a lot of mistakes, later in Cultural Revolution, Great Leap Forward, but his biggest contribution was putting the Chinese state back together. And this legacy survived till today, because this is why even after the end of the Cultural Revolution, Deng Xiaoping said, there are some members of Communist Party want to renounce Mao, like how Khrushchev renounced Stalin in Soviet Union, but Deng Xiaoping said, like, wait a minute. Mao was instrumental in building the new China, in building the People's Republic of China. If we renounce him, we're going to throw like the baby out with the bathwater. So this is when he passed his judgment on Mao. He said Mao is 70% good and 30% bad. It's a very Chinese thing to do.
Let's keep the 70%. Why not?
Yeah. True enough.
Yeah. So this is why Mao is still a revered figure in China, because he and he, for large part, put this broken Chinese state back together after like 100 years of turmoil, and now we are seeing, people are saying, but the communists destroyed the Chinese tradition and all that. No. Chinese tradition is coming back. There's a renaissance of Chinese culture right now, given the last 40 years of economic development. Now people are bringing back the Chinese culture, and they're exporting it to the other part of the world. Now there's like Chinese made anime, there's Chinese made dramas, Chinese made products. There's Chinese made TikTok, right? That's a part of the
which is nowadays is the most famous social video network. Is the highest. I was seeing the other day that TikTok has beat YouTube in the video time watching. And I mean, TikTok, most of the time you have 30-second stuff. And YouTube, you can have 1-2 hour chat like ours, for example. It's really amazing. It's really amazing. Wow. With 1.4 billion people watching 30 seconds a day, that's not very hard to get.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, one of the reason TikTok algorithm is so good is because they train their AI on 1 billion people. They have a large sample to train, and this is why United States is very afraid of AI development in China. That's why they're applying the semiconductor sanction on China right now, and they're banning NVIDIA export to China because they don't want China to get ahead in AI, because they think, oh my God, China has this natural advantage because they have a large population. We're going to cripple them. We're going to take the Tanya Hardin approach to competition. We're going to try to kneecap them, and it's not working. It's not working right now because China
comes out with 7 nanometers.
Yeah, it's too late.
Exactly.
It's too late.
Actually, this is not even a new thing. I don't know, almost 10 years, no, maybe 7 years ago, 6 years ago, there was the ban of Huawei in the United States. And that was a huge problem here in Europe. I used to work with research development, and all the research labs, I mean, everything, all the clouds and data centers and everything here were using Huawei switches and stuff. So from one day to another, all the data centers had to buy new ones, because even keeping the ones that they already had was problematic. Because of the sanctions, they could not get service or parts. So you could not maintain the thing working. And then they had to change for Cisco and stuff like that were worse.
And the official reason they say they had to ban Huawei is because they say China, it's national security, because allow China, because what really happening is United States is listening on everybody, and that they're listening even into tap into Angela Merkel's phone, and because one of the reasons they want to ban Huawei is because Huawei is not going to give a back door to the CIA, right? I mean, they're not going to give a back door to NSA or CIA. So they're like, no, this is out of our control. We can't have that. We need to be tap into it, listen to everyone.
Sure, of course.
Exactly.
And so and this is the real. And right now, I'm in Indonesia. I'm the network I'm talking to you on was built on Huawei. The Indonesian 4G network was built by Huawei. Yeah.
And now
actually,
we have
another thing that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Wayne. We took stuck.
One of the things that another change that China brought to the rest of the world is it made the smartphone cheaper and affordable. Like in Indonesia is still a developing country, but everybody here have a smartphone because they can afford Chinese-made smartphone nowadays.
Of course,
and that's a revolution too.
And they are good. Mm-hmm. That's the more important. They are very good. Here in Brazil, we had this culture, this idea that stuff that comes from China is poor quality stuff. Yeah, and it's something for the past. It's not this monster. China.
Wait. Okay.
China became this huge industrial monster now, capable of making everything with a lot of quality, and the West is complaining about it, trying to cripple China. But the West created this monster. The West
exactly. If you think about it, even all the Western products, Apple's. The Apple phones are made in China.
China. I sometimes I think you said very well said. Of course, China fell because his own success. I believe it happened with the West now. Yes. It's happening with the West now. Yes. The West create this idea, the supremacy idea. This idea they are superior. Elon Musk was saying another day, China will never be capable of replicate our technology. They believe it. Yeah, they believe it. And they put all their factories in China. They will not able to copy our technology. They are doing it better now.
Cheaper, better,
and better.
Much more, because BYD just a couple of weeks ago the biggest electric vehicle manufacturer
in the world,
and seller. Oh, we lost Do
Back again.
do you see us? Okay, you're back. From time to time, we have
Okay, now I
some
see you,
glitches.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's my
Yeah.
internet here because everything is from my house, so we don't use StreamYard. And yeah, no, about this, it's frozen. Do you hear? Oh, he'll be back in a second. Are we here? Yeah, we are. We are. A gente está online, sim. Deixa eu aproveitar para. Talvez ele tenha tido que resetar o modem. Okay, he's back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. We're back.
We're
back.
back. Now I'm taking the opportunity to restart Instagram because Instagram only goes for 1 hour and then cuts you off. So I'm just restarting it. But yeah, what I was saying is that this culture in Brazil, I mean, if you go back 15, maybe 20 years, we have these, street markets, illegal street markets, let's call it like this. We call it camelo, where people just, open something on the floor and sell stuff. And back 15, 20 years, the Chinese products that were arriving, they were, for example, there was a smartphone called iClone. There was the sound systems called Skinny, which was Sony with the Q, stuff like that. So at that moment, it became it became stereotypized that Chinese products is this, crappy rip-off, bootleg stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you go forward 20 years, you got Xiaomi, for example. I'm sorry, it's better than an iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
I have a Xiaomi phone right here.
I have an Oppo. My wife just got herself a Oppo, which, by the way, is Indian. My wife just got recently a Xiaomi, and it was already like a 1-year-old model. And it's amazing that the battery goes for almost 2 days.
They're good.
And the full recharge is 15 minutes. This turbo recharge is 15 minutes. And I was like, wow. While my her sister that has an iPhone have to go around holding the charger in her hand because, you never know. Every 30 minutes you have to recharge a little bit the phone.
Oh, yeah.
I was an iPhone user for the longest time. I switched to Xiaomi because the battery was terrible. The battery life was terrible, and it's just Xiaomi just so much better.
Oh yeah.
Plus the price is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. It seems to me when we were talking about the foreigner pressures in China, maybe I am wrong. Maybe it's the way we see it here. But the Japan, they were very straight with the foreigners. In one moment of their history, they said, no, the foreigners are taking over. We don't want this foreigners devils here. And they outcasted them. They expelled the foreigners from Japan. The foreigner presence in Japan was prohibited. They expelled them. Maybe because they felt their presence there was corrupting, they were infiltrating their culture and all stuff. And China didn't do it in the same time, and then maybe it was the great difference why Japan was independent and took over his own destiny in the next 200 years, and China was not able. Maybe in this point, you said you mentioned the Boxer revolution, the Boxer uprising, right? It was not the Boxer uprising the first try of a foreign agent law in China. You know what I mean? Because they were so so sick of the foreign influence, they revolt, right? Nowadays, we see a lot of countries talking about the foreign agent laws to protect the country from foreign influence. Was not there on that time a proto?
A type of FARA.
Yes, a type of proto FARA. the Boxer revolution, the Boxer revolt.
Yeah, I think the difference is kind of the balance of power, right? I mean, because in the late 19th century, the foreign power, when it comes to China, they could do whatever they wanted. The Chinese cannot say no. When Chinese try to say no, the foreigners will just send another gunship and start bombarding your coastal towns. So this is why sovereignty is important. One of the biggest complaint of, say, U.S. about China business practice is the Chinese. Right now, China is welcoming foreign business to come to China, to do business in China, to invest in China. But there's a requirement. The requirement is if you come to China, you can't come to China and have a fully owned business in China like Tesla. Tesla has a factory, they produce their Teslas in China. But there's a requirement. The requirement is you need to do technology transfer and you need to use Chinese suppliers. And that what that does is, for example, when Tesla build factories in China, they need to source some of their components from locally produced Chinese factories. That kind of upgrade a whole Chinese supply chain. The whole Chinese supply chain grow up around Tesla, and later those same suppliers that supply Chinese supply chain, they could supply the Chinese domestic EV makers like BYD, right? Yeah, exactly. So this is how China kind of climbing the tech tree. This is what U.S. called the technology theft. No, it's not theft. It's pretty open. It's China says if you want to do business in China, if you want to do business in China, you have to do technology transfer. But this is how a truly independent country assert its sovereignty. It's setting the terms of how you can behave in this country. But that's not the case in a lot of other countries, and because in a lot of times they cannot dictate terms to the multinationals, because then the U.S. State Department is going to come down on your ass.
It's very interesting. That's something. Well, I don't know about Davidson. That's something that I have never heard before. Actually, even. I'll say, for example, Alexander McCurry, who is from the Durand, which I follow as well. Well, he's a lawyer, and sometimes he mentions the fact that China steals technology. But like a reason for growing is that. So one thing that what comes to my mind right now is that the Western, the Anglo-American culture about the copyright laws, which is an American thing, is an inside American thing, and they just they force the world to comply with copyright laws. This law thinking makes them think that's stealing, because they cannot do it because we have the copyright for this, and hence
a lot of what Americans are complaining about China is what the British used to complain about American manufacturers in the late 19th century. And you know, this is just, I'm sure there's industrial espionage. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's industrial espionage going on. But the major bulk of technology transfer actually happened elsewhere. You know, if you go to U.S. universities, you will see a lot of the top students are Chinese. If you go to the U.S. research institutions, you go into the labs, a lot of the people doing research, a lot of the are Chinese grad students who are working, who are powering these U.S. research institutions. Now, they came to United States because in the 80s and 90s, China was a very poor country, and China couldn't offer like a lot of opportunity for a lot of very talented people. So there was a brain drain from China to the West, particularly to the United States. But around when China economy started taking off, you know, my dad came to study in United States in 1985. And a lot of his friends, you know, when they graduated, they didn't go back to China. They took a corporate job in U.S. and you know, most of them got green card and later citizenship in U.S. and work in U.S. companies. But after working in U.S. for about 20 years, around I think early 2000, a lot of my dad's classmates went back to China because that's when they realized, you know, after working in U.S. corporate world for 10, 20 years, they hit a glass ceiling for the Chinese immigrants. They don't rise to the upper management level. You know, there's a cap, but if they go back to China, the sky is the limit. They can be CEOs, they can be founders of companies. So a lot of the ambitious ones went back to China. That's where the greatest amount of technology transfer happened, because all these people who are educated in the West, in U.S. top elite universities, they work for 10, 20 years in the corporate world, gather all that experience and knowledge, and they're taking that back to China. And why? It's because China offered them better opportunities. Of course. Like they used to say U.S. is like the land, the American dream, right? Yeah, American dream, the land of opportunity. But for the Chinese people right now, China is the land of opportunity. That's why even the people who made it to the United States are moving back to China. And of course, right now it was the U.S. Government prosecution of Chinese scientists and researchers, that just put additional pressure for them to move back to China. And this is this reverse brain drain is what powering China ahead. And this is what a lot of the Americans don't understand, because they probably never took a peek inside of a university lab like I have, because my dad would work in a U.S. university. I go to his lab and I say, oh, it's all Chinese people here. That's when I realized, even back in 1990s, you know, who are actually doing all the work. And so it totally makes sense to me. It totally makes sense to me when all my... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, what I mean is what was you were describing happened with the Chinese and the Indians, in the Indian people, the people from India, right? They were crowning the American universities and the European universities, and now they are the new Silicon Valleys, right? The India and China is booming in technology now. What you are describing with Chinese people in the United States happened exactly the same way with the people from India, and they are booming. If it was only in China, we could discuss if it's right or not, if maybe it's your perception, but it happened exactly the same way with with India. So Americans are doing something wrong on this one.
And it's not really a zero-sum competition, because this cross-pollination means talents are continuing to come to U.S., but some of them are flowing back to China. So it's really win-win for both sides, because U.S. is gaining all these talents it otherwise wouldn't have. But right now, the U.S. politicians, because they have this Western supremacist mindset, They don't understand that. So they're like, okay, the only thing we have to stop China's progress in order for US to stay number one, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't understand like this collaboration make everybody go up. That's not their mindset. Their mindset is zero sum. You know, you lose, I win.
For example, the 5G contract that they should develop together with the United States, and the United States, no, we can take care of it ourselves. Again, coming back to Huawei, that's more or less the point where they realize, oh shit, we didn't get there, but they're there. And the result is what you get is that China going to 6G and 7G already. And here in Europe, for example, 5G and internet, it's getting behind. You know, it's getting behind. Even Russia have better internal internet, I would say, infrastructure for the internet. Even Russia have better infrastructure than Europe. Even Russia, like if it was a bad thing. But, you know, the European mindset of, the poor country next to us, Russia, has better infrastructure. You know, the poor China has better infrastructure, better technology, and you know, it's just
more money.
Its own. It just put up its own space station. Its own. I mean, you have one that is everybody's, and China has its own. So. You know, Indians putting their feet on the moon. We were just saying yesterday.
And the British didn't.
And the British have not put nothing at the moon. Maybe, I don't know.
That's crazy.
Nothing.